Slimy, yet satisfying.
So. Alright, let's do this. What is up, everyone? I am Viral Vinny, and I don't even remember how this goes, but I had to talk about this, even though I'm in my self-imposed exile right now, and all that other stuff. But yeah, I had to make a video on this. The last 48 hours have been very interesting. Now, don't consider this an official review, again, for those of you who don't remember this whole recent review video format. It's just very off-the-cuff, very off-the-chest, quick, in-the-moment thoughts before, I really have a moment to sit down. And just my general, overall thoughts on a product before I get into the critiquing and the analyzing about why I like or dislike a project. Oh yeah, for Last of Us, no, I can't wait. This needs to come out now. So, spoilers for the whole season and the whole part 1 and part 2 of the games and the other stuff. But yeah, this show something else, and I'm always the black sheep when it comes to a lot of opinions. I'm always very much the polar opposite of what other people feel, and this is one of those cases where I feel a little bad because I know how people have loved this show. I know they've sung its praises. They're very happy with the overall product, and I don't think it's a bad product. But I can't say that I wasn't disappointed, and I can't say that it's not a letdown. That, much like a lot of other video game movies and shows and adaptations of that stuff, if someone asks me how they want me to experience The Last of Us, I'm gonna say the game still. Now, again, I could go into a whole nitty-gritty argument about episode by episode, what it did right, what it did wrong, all this other stuff. But the thing is, the more I think about it, episode by episode, I was kind of upset. I didn't like some of the changes. There was actually some of the changes I did like. Some of the changes I thought were really smart moves. Some of them I was less of a fan of. But overall, I didn't hate the experience. But each episode, I came away from well, I didn't like this. I didn't like this. I didn't like this. And that's why my initial, after the finales were done, was well, that sucked. And I thought about it more, and it's well, no, there's parts I actually do love. But the thing is, it's changed just enough, and they tweaked just enough, and a lot of things are streamlined and cut down that I can't say this is a good product. For me, and what I'm interested in, and if I were to recommend The Last of Us to anyone, I can't say this is a good or a perfect, or it broke the video game curse. It has a lot of flaws, but it is not a bad show. It's not a bad adaptation. It's just it gets a lot wrong. That it's an okay adaptation at best, and that's what I had to spend a few days to think over. Is do I actually hate the show? And just because I was disappointed by some of the episodes and some of the choices they had made, do I actually hate this show? And the thing is, I don't hate this show, I just don't love it. And I think for Last of Us, that is a bit of a different thing where, if they messed up the Sonic movie, it'd be well, okay, that sucks, I'm disappointed, but it is what it is. Even the upcoming Mario movie, even if it's not everything I wanted to be, it's okay, well, the game, it's not that big of a deal. But for Last of Us and what it means, not only to the gaming community, to my friends, to me personally, Last of Us is a big deal. And just doing an okay adaptation is not, it's a disservice to the game. And that's the worst part is, this show doesn't do anything horribly wrong or horribly bad. It's a lot of small nitpicks and minor things and all the other stuff that just adds up, that overall it does affect the package. And I do appreciate that we have this product here for non-gamers, and I have, for people like, our parents or our relatives or like a lot of people over 40 can enjoy the show and they don't have to go through the entire effort of playing a 20, 30, 40 hour game, learning controls, beating bosses, things of that stuff. Like, I understand all these things, and the biggest issue for me isn't even a quality thing, because there are a bunch of episodes I do like. I like episode 1, I like episode 2, episode 3 is amazing, but then it starts to fall off, and it does bring it around at the end. I did like the finale did make me happy. I thought it was a great episode, and that's why I had that back and forth of, well, why I don't like this. And the simple fact is, this show didn't have enough time. It should have been longer than 9 episodes. And I can, speculate and pontificate and do all this other stuff about, well, what if it had a 10-season run? What if it had a 12-season run? If it did this, and this? And the reality is, we can't judge these things on what it could have been or what it should have been or how it, the potential that was there. We have to judge it off of what is right in front of us. And it was rushed by the end. You go from episode 2 and 1 being one big massive story, and then episode 3 being like movie length and long episode, and then episode 4 and 5 like they're also a full length, and then the story starts to shorten and shorten and shorten. And I went back and forth with friends about this, and I think the reason The Last of Us works so well as a story is because of how long you spend with Joel and Ellie. That it's not a immediate friendship. It's not an immediate, they're getting along. And meanwhile in the show, you have to negate episode 3, so 8 episodes, and really they meet by the end of episode 2. So you're looking at, like, they're pretty much friends, or they're in good place by the halfway point of the show. And that's just not how the story developed in the game. It's not those other stuff. And I know if the show and the creators had 2 or 3 extra episodes, I feel like that would have helped a lot with my enjoyment of this show, because I do like the acting. Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, they both nail it. They both get their characters. I'm very much impressed with Bella. I was not feeling her going into it, but she absolutely nailed Ellie. She made the role herself. Even a lot of the changes that they make, again, there are certain changes where some of the characterizations, the zombie kiss with Tess, I don't know what that was about. Things of that sort. Like, there's certain changes where I don't understand what was the point and why they did that. And then there's other stuff like Tommy, and the fact that, he was a soldier, and like he wanted to be a part of an organization, and that's why he joined the Firefly and the army and all this other stuff. Like, they do a lot to expand on these characters, but everything just comes back to those last few batches of episodes where it showed that, like, the biggest strength of The Last of Us is sitting with these characters and just holding on these moments and, like, really getting a chance to, like, feel the weight of everything. This is not like a movie where, you do a montage and you start at the bottom of the mountain and in 2 minutes you're at the top. Like, the benefits of games is how long and deliberate and drawn out they are. That you have to do every single step. You have to follow these characters on their journey. And yes, you can cut around and do other things, but the biggest strength of The Last of Us was that you got to see this relationship develop and grow over a long time. By shortening the length and doing all this other stuff, it does a disservice. And I think that's what the biggest issue is. I can whine about certain parts like winter not being the exact same how it was in the game, or this or that, or Left Behind spoiling, what I thought was a generally cool review in the game. I think the biggest thing for me is I know this game has the potential to be good, and it is a good show, and there's parts I love. It's just not a perfect show. It's not an amazing show. And again, for any other property, if it was Assassin's Creed, if it was Grand Theft Auto, if it was Legend of Zelda, anything, if it was just an okay show, that would still be really good as a video game adaptation. But for The Last of Us, they had to nail it. They had to come with their A game, and this is just a solid B. It's good. It's fine. You know, if my parents or my grandparents ask, I'm gonna recommend them the show. But anyone under 30 or anyone who's not that interested in video games, they're doing themselves a disservice because the game is better in every way, and I can't pretend that it's not. It is a better product. But at the end of the day, it is a good show. It is a good watch. I just hope for season 2 they really expand the episode count. They let it breathe, because that's an even more complex story with even more complex storytellings, and the way the fact that everything's like interweaving and woven. And I just really hope they don't do a in order chronological like recapping of, okay, well, this is how this happened, like, and flipping back and forth. Because again, I do think that twist in part 2 that happens in the middle is a good twist, and like it really gets you going. And part of the reason the twist works oh, excuse me, I was choking on my own hypocrisy. Part of the reason that twist works so well is because you spend so long with that character. It's not a quick montage or a quick moment. You spend hours upon hours upon hours with that character. That really forces you to sit there and empathize with them and understand them and see things from their perspective. So, if it comes to the Last of Us show, right now I can't recommend it to anyone besides non-gamers. If you're a gamer, you should play the game, and the game is still a superior product. But it's still a good show. It still has great parts. I just wish it was better, because again, right now it's just okay, and I wanted it to be perfect.